Hello, my love, it's Zoe, and welcome to a special series here on the Oasis State podcast. Over the next handful of episodes, I'm breaking down big life transitions, or BLTs for short. We're going to dive into what they are, why they happen, and how to navigate them with clarity and confidence. Whether you're moving through a breakup, a career shift, grief, a spiritual awakening, or a major relocation, these transitions all ask the same thing of us: to let go of who we were and step into who we're becoming. This is the work I guide women through at Oasis State, and I'm so excited to share this framework with you. Let's dive in. Hello, my gorgeous loves, and welcome back to another episode of the Oasis State podcast. So this episode is a part of the BLT series, and BLT stands for Big Life Transitions. So throughout this series, I'm dedicating an episode each to a particular area or type of BLT. So big life transition, just really quickly, is anything that, it's basically when you're in a season of change, navigating the unknown, you're in that season of the void, and it's very much out with the old, in with the new sort of energy, but like in a very destabilizing way. So for example, a BLT could be navigating grief, heartbreak. This episode is going to be on career changes and that career purpose financial piece of the puzzle, because it can be really scary navigating a BLT in that area. You can also have inner big life transitions, which are spiritual awakenings or being initiated into that next level. And then there's also things like moving locations. Like if you've got a quite nomadic lifestyle or you're moving from one place to a new place, there's just a lot of outer chaos or inner chaos, and pretty much you can't have one without the other. So there's just a lot of chaos, and this BLT series is giving you things to focus on and a bit of guidance to help you move from the chaos to clarity, to capacity, to calm, whatever you're searching for, all three of those, and then some, because the aim of the game is we all want joy, we all want freedom, we all want to live a life that feels good for us, and that's something that I'm really passionate about with Oasis State, is embracing our uniqueness, because my version of happiness might be completely different to someone else's version of happiness. But my teaching, so I have a Find Your Oasis library, which is like a self-paced, self-guided library. And then I have Oasis State Club, which is a 6-month mentorship program. Though the whole ethos and the energy behind those teachings is this is how you create your unique energetic ecosystem. So it's like I give you the materials and then you build your house. It's not you coming to me and outsourcing your power. I'm just helping you get out of your own way to tap into your inner wisdom or your inner capacity, or find that steadiness that you've been looking for, etc. So that's the same vibe for these podcast episodes. Is just wanted to give you a few tips for each episode of what to focus on if you are in the thick of a BLT and feeling the chaos, feeling destabilized, feeling heartbreak, feeling all of the things, and you want to move back into, feeling cool, calm, and collected. I promise you it is possible. I am a living, breathing example. Again and again and again, I have shifted my big life transition into clarity and peace and purpose and excitement and whatever I was looking for at the time. It's as women, we are just these magnificent alchemizing goddesses. Like you give us one thing, we'll turn it into something else. And my aim on this planet is just to show women how to do that. And like I said, your version of alchemizing things is going to be different to mine, but doesn't mean you can't learn from me, because I was the blind leading the blind for so long. And I just locked in and just dug deep and figured a lot of it out. And obviously with the help of mentors and books and podcasts and things like that. But man, oh man, do I wish I had the Find Your Oasis library at the start of my gnarly season of changes. I've navigated grief, the loss of my dad and my soul dog. I've had a lot of heartbreak. I've had friendship endings. I've had so many career changes. I've moved locations. All of the things that I mentioned, I have lived and breathed, and I've been in the trenches with you. So yay! So today's episode, our BLT, is career changes, or just any changes or a shift in dynamic in that area of life that is career related. So whether that's job, a sense of purpose, stability, there's a lot of identity stuff going on there. And I wanted to start this episode by reiterating why it is so important as women to lean into our big life transitions, multiple. Sometimes it can be one, but sometimes it can be multiple BLTs in this area of career change. Because I had coffee with a friend this morning who has just been fighting off sickness for so long. And she's working full time and, picking up some extra weekend shifts for one of her old jobs. And that's fine. Like, we have these seasons of time where we do want to lock in and get a bit of extra income. But just listening to her basically realize that there is no substitute for living that balanced life as a woman. And she knows that if she keeps going on this trajectory, she's going to end up in a bad place if she hasn't already burnt out. And I'm not criticizing her. We were having a very lovely, compassionate chat, but it just really fired me up because I've seen so many past versions of myself in her. And I also was talking to another friend via voice message who was having a really hard time with her period this cycle around, but she's also been working 7 days, again, for a short-term financial goals. So that is completely okay. I don't know everyone's financial situation, and I have also had seasons of time where I've really locked in, but I just don't know any woman around me that is locked in for a longer period of time and has it all together. I just think as women, we are cyclical beings and we're living in this patriarchal society that demands consistency and hustle and pushing and just ignoring our body's need for balance, need for rest, need to honor our cycles. And again, I'm not criticizing my friends, and I've been there a million times, but they're sitting there telling me, they're reflecting with me in these conversations of yeah, I'm realizing that I've really let my nervous system, priorities and regulation tools slip. So that's why I think I'm physically ill. Or I'm really noticing that I haven't slowed down. And then you'll go, if you're working full time, and then you'll go and have a really social weekend, and then you're trying to get your groceries done. And you know what I mean? In my personal experience and the women around me, I just don't know any woman that is working at that full capacity and not having it affect her physical health, whether that's in actually being unwell, like with the flu, having digestive issues, having cyclical issues, I used to get massive migraines when I was really, really stressed out. And what else happens? Oh yeah, and then your mental health gets affected as well. So it's honestly, and I'm not saying this to disempower women at all, but I'm just saying that we live in this patriarchal society that values things that are not in alignment with women. And I will scream this from the rooftops that women, we need to be accessing that natural innate wisdom, whether it's cyclical or just giving ourselves permission to slow down, giving ourselves permission to live in a more of a sense of purpose, and maybe not working for anyone else as well. That's been a huge thing for me. And yes, building a business is very scary and very hard, but it's a lesser of two evils. I'm not building anyone else's dream. I'm building my own. Do you know what I mean? So this season of hustle, quotation marks hustle, if you're not watching the video, is very intentional. And I still have the freedom to, respect my cycle and all of those things. But yeah, any woman that I know that is outwardly, eating really well and doing all the things and socializing and not setting those boundaries is, physically or mentally, sorry if you can hear that, there was a little text come through, but I don't know if I can mute it on my laptop. Anyway, stream of consciousness coming out. I just don't, and I'm not saying, like I said, I'm not saying this to disempower women, but I just don't think we can do it all in this society. And that's not to say that we don't have the tools available to us. We've just been taught the wrong tools. So that's why I'm so passionate about this BLT series. And I teach all of these things in more depth when in my Oasis State library and my Oasis State club. So yeah, I don't know. We live in this patriarchal society where we just have to be consistent. And whenever I see a woman showing up outwardly, looking very successful and together, I just know that mentally or physically and or emotionally, all of the intelligences, we are struggling. And if you haven't listened to any of my podcasts before, the remedy and the framework that I teach to move through big BLTs and navigate this outer chaos is holistic mastery. So it's an understanding that we have multiple innate intelligences interacting with themselves and with us at all times. So we've got our spiritual intelligence, so understanding that we're a soul and connected to the universe, or whatever label you want to put on it. We've got mental intelligence, so we're learning how to consciously create through our thoughts and also detach. So basically just a healthy relationship with our mind, because it's not about rejecting the mind or rejecting the ego. We're all about wholeness and togetherness, and that's what I teach in the mental intelligence side of the holistic mastery framework that I teach. Then we have emotional intelligence, and that's learning how to have a healthier relationship with our emotions. And physical intelligence, which is a very big piece of the pie for today, because physical intelligence is learning how to live cyclically, how to regulate our nervous systems, how to do a lot of relational dynamic work. So if you're interested in knowing how to feel safe and regulated and empowered in your relationships, listen to the relationships episode in this BLT series, because I dive deeper into all of that. But for the career piece of the pie, there is still some relational dynamics there, because as women, we are very groomed to be people pleasers. So if you're wanting to find some form of success working for someone else, which is completely fair enough, not everyone needs to work for themselves, but we need to be deconditioning from this like good girl conditioning of being pleasant and, you know, playing the game, like the easy obedient game. We need women to be taking up more room. You need to be fierce. You need to be strong. You need to have an opinion. You need to be setting boundaries. And that's how you'll find that career success if you're staying in the traditional workforce. So I suppose I can explain what a career change is, what a BLT in that career area is. So these are ones that I've personally navigated as well. Maybe you want to go to university. So I have 2 science degrees, and I've worked actively in both of those industries. So I have a degree in exercise science at the time with the intention to flow on and do a master's of physio. And thankfully I started working in the industry and was like, actually that's not for me. And then I took a gap year, went traveling, came back and decided, no, I've always wanted to work with the environment. I always wanted to be a marine biologist. So I went back to uni and achieved that childhood goal of becoming a marine biologist. And it was so fulfilling and wonderful and amazing. Then I started working as a research assistant, so a marine biologist in the academic research area. With a wonderful team. I was offered the job. It was an incredible experience. But again, a very, very archaic, very bureaucratic, very warped industry. And no matter how much I enjoyed the job, I was going to have to sacrifice my mental and physical health to succeed in that area. So yeah, I know ball when it comes to BLTs in the career change area, and I don't regret any of it. I absolutely love that I did both of those degrees. I met some of the most beautiful people that are still in my life to today while at uni. I love the person that studying has shaped me into becoming. I am her. And learning how to learn. That's basically what you do at uni. It's not whether you're learning law or marine biology or about the body or whatever, but learning how to learn and learning how to just feel okay with gathering knowledge and problem solving and being analytical and all of these wonderful professional skills I gained from uni has helped me like walk away from the industry, if that makes sense. Because I'm not there like, oh no, if I'm not working actively in the marine biology industry, I'm wasting my degree. Absolutely not. I genuinely don't think I could be as lean into this entrepreneurial space as much as I have and developing a business, because it is not for the faint-hearted, if I didn't have the experience as a uni student. So that's really wonderful. I've worked actively in both of those careers, and then obviously through uni and developing my careers, I've had all of the jobs under the sun. Or maybe you haven't studied, but you're in a career, working your way up, maybe a corporate ladder or some form of, traditional industry, working your way up, however that works for your individual industry. And you want to not fucking do that anymore. And maybe you just want to change industries. Maybe you want to, excuse me, I always burp on my podcast episodes, but I think that's good. Excuse me. Maybe you want to change industries. Maybe you just want to fucking break. Maybe you just want a job where it's not, the be all end all and everything you're passionate about. I think those times in your life have a very valuable role. And especially if you're navigating BLTs, because they don't actually just like individually happen in one area. Like, oh, I'm just navigating a career change. It's like usually all of the areas of your life. And there's so much inner disturbance that comes from, oh, I'm leaving my job and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. Sometimes you just want to go and get a job that just, it doesn't mean anything to you, but you're still paying your bills. We still have earthly responsibilities. You know, I don't care how spiritual you are, but if you're like living on the dole and out of your van, sorry, no offense, but like, that's not success. That's not the way, that's not what we're here to do. If you understand things spiritually, it is you, in my opinion, your duty to be showing up for those people earlier on in their spiritual journey, showing them that we need to not only ascend, but descend into our bodies, into the present moment, into the society the way that it is, not be of this society, but in it, and start making some positive change. And showing people that the spiritual path, quotation marks, or conscious path or the personal development path can create physical resources and physical safety, because having financial stability is so important. You cannot get your downloads and be tapped into your intuition if you're struggling to put food on the table every day, you know? So there are seasons of time where you're navigating so much other, maybe you are going through a spiritual awakening, or maybe you are going through a breakup or a career change. And I just personally believe that those seasons of time where you just want a job to put food on the table and then figure the fucking rest out, fair enough, babe. So that's a permission slip you might need to give yourself, because I think we're so ingrained in this hustle culture and this patriarchal society to evolve, but it doesn't have to look traditional in the sense of like, oh, I was a casual and now I'm a manager and now I'm a, you know, whatever's up. You know, you don't have to work your way up all the time. It's okay to take a breather if you want to physically get better or mentally get better, and you are in a position where you just know it's a give or take between your mental and physical health, emotional health, all of it, and success in the job. So you might be in a career and you just want a job. Maybe you've just finished studying and you're moving into a career, or you're in a career and you want to move back to study. So I think I've covered, you know, what a career change is. It's just a change in that area, and there's a lot that comes with it. So these are the things that I focused on through all of my career changes, which have been a lot, that have led me to be here creating my business. And mind you, by the way, I'm still so passionate about exercise science, which is understanding the body, and then marine biology, which is understanding nature. And it's actually so deeply shaped my teachings in Oasis State, because I loved that correlation between, oh wow, the body has systems and they all interact and they're all very sensitive. Does that sound familiar? And then you learn about ecosystems in nature and you're like, wow, an ecosystem. So, you know, these bottom-up feeders help this and this herbivore does that. It's everything around us is a system. So it's so deeply shaped how I've built my teachings with Oasis State, because as I've said to you, I help you create an inner ecosystem. It's a cohesive, energetic system. I've spoken about frameworks. Like if you listen to my language, you'll see that where my scientific background comes through. And I just love that my life has been this intersection of science and spirituality. So if you're wanting to leave education, like an educational background or qualifications, or just, you know, a particular industry, it comes with you. It's shaped you into the person that you are. And I've always been so strong on wanting freedom. So that's why I'm building a business, because it's like, okay, well, I only need to show up for me. And some days it's really hard. Like building a business doesn't just happen overnight, but it's like, you got to choose your heart, you know, like I'm not stressing about someone else's success. I'm stressing about my own. No, I don't get that stressed anymore, but it's part of the journey at the start for sure. And I don't think I would have had the balls to keep going with my business if I hadn't already developed the grit that I did through my uni degrees. Or maybe you've been working your way up the corporate ladder for 10 years and you're scared to walk away from it. But babe, you've already created all of the personal and professional skills that came with climbing a corporate ladder for 10 years. Whatever your next decision is, it will be the right one, because all of those skills come with you. They don't just go null and void because you're not in that industry anymore. So, well, I suppose that was like sort of a bit of a segue into the first thing to focus on if you're navigating a BLT in the career change area is just give yourself permission. It's okay. It's not that deep. It's not that serious, you know? Like I think we get it drilled into us to be loyal, all the time to like, oh, I've got to, be a lawyer for the next 40 years and then retire. Or I've got to be a teacher for the next 20 years and then retire, etc. And we are in this beautiful season of life where collectively we're evolving quite quickly. And if you think about in the last 10 years, personal development, that industry or the spiritual, realm, it wasn't that big of a deal. But now it's like every fucking person's got a podcast, even me, because you're listening to it right now. But of course we're developing and evolving personally so much because there's so much information available to us. So if you've started it, for example, if you've started a uni degree and then by the time you get to the end of it, it's not what you want to do anymore, that's because you've been evolving for 3 years. Of course it's not what you want to do anymore. And that's completely fucking okay. Because like I said, you're actually going to take all of this, the knowledge, but the skills that you developed as well, onto the next. So that first piece of the puzzle for navigating BLTs in the career area is, like I said, just relax. It's all good. Don't let your mind create this black and white relationship with success and failure. Like, you get to create the meaning of everything in your life. And if you're leaving a degree or leaving a job or changing industries, let it mean what you want it to mean. And I encourage you to let it mean something positive. Like, wow, I'm so grateful that I've evolved so much that now I'm interested in something else. See it as a celebration of your evolution that you want to try something new, and that's okay. So we can get really hard on ourselves about being flaky because, like I said, the patriarchal society teaches us to be quite loyal. Or also, if you're listening to this, like, no, I really love my job, I can see myself doing it for the rest of my life, fucking slay. But I also don't think you'd be listening to this episode because it's about career changes. But if you know someone around you that loves their work, you don't have to be in their ear like, you're not evolving, It's just, we're all completely, totally unique beings, and we have the internet now, and we have, anyone can create a business off their phone, off a microphone, and some people really want to dive deep into that and have that complement their personal evolution, and other people don't, and that's okay. But don't look around. I suppose, yeah. I was like, don't look around for evidence. Only take advice from those who are further along in a journey that you resonate with. So if you've got a friend that wants to be a school teacher for the rest of their life and they're having a bit of a stab at you about starting a business, they're not an entrepreneur, so don't listen to them. Do you know what I mean? But go and listen to a podcast about someone that's harping on about being an entrepreneur. So yeah, stay in your lane, give yourself permission. Don't let a change that you want to make mean anything. Be so fucking self-aware about the black and white, egoic success and failure metric, because we live in this technicolor society and careers don't have to be black and white anymore. So give yourself permission to color outside the lines. Oh my God, how was that analogy? I loved it. That was so beautiful in my mind, just seeing that play out in my mind's eye just then. Yeah, color outside the lines, babe. Like, we have so many options available to us. And when you're truly on your own path of success, it doesn't look clear in front of you. That's how you know you're on the right path, your own path, is because you're only ever given one or two breadcrumbs at a time. And it's download, which is your feminine, getting in your masculine. So this is sort of segueing into that next point. We need to learn how to balance our masculine and feminine inner energy. And for the length of this episode, I'm not going to go into it, but it's work that I do under my Oasis State umbrella. We need to come into our healthy feminine to connect to our spiritual intelligence, which is our intuition and gut feelings and downloads and whatever label you want to put on it. And then we need to put our feet on the ground and take aligned action. So that's the healthy masculine. So masculine and feminine energy. This is not to do with genders. This is our energetic space. And again, I'm not going to explain all of it in this episode, but that's how you know you're on your unique, true, authentic path, is because you're doing that personal evolution work all the time and just remembering and becoming the queen that you know that you are every single day, becoming confident, moving through chaos into clarity again and again and again. And then in the career piece of it, you are getting the downloads and then actioning it. And the universe is not going to give you 20 downloads and give you the next 5-year plan. It doesn't fucking happen like that, because you need to prove that you're being your authentic self and you're moving through the fear and the doubt, which is the personal evolution side of it, and taking the action. So I'll get a download to do this podcast series. I'm going to do that. And it's not like you don't have any idea what's going on. I've got a few things floating around in my business right now, but I wasn't sitting on the couch waiting for all of the crystal clear clarity to come through. You're just like, oh, okay, I'm going to do a podcast about that. So I do that. And then it's like you're clearing a channel, because the more that you're actioning things, the more the universe is like, yes, let's reward her with more downloads and more creativity, because you have to get your shitty work out there first as well. Like, I just love those past versions of Oz that just kept showing up again and again and again and doing these awkward, dorky videos, which I love so much. I'm not criticizing myself. This is in a very compassionate way, but you have to get good at your skill. It's like going to uni or climbing the corporate ladder, etc. You don't just get really good at the next thing straight away. You have to be comfortable with quotation marks failing in public or looking like an idiot and needing to learn. And that's what I mean when I'm like, I'm so grateful I've got my uni degrees, because I'm comfortable with feeling like an idiot half the time in my business. Because I know, I'm like, oh, well, I'm not meant to fucking know everything. I just need to know a few steps in front of me, action them, and then just keep having this beautiful, trusting relationship with myself and the universe, which is just me. Does that make sense? Is that landing? So if you've got like a little bit of an idea of like, oh, I think I want to leave my corporate job and go and study teaching, that's your download. Nothing else is going to come to you until you do that. Or not nothing, but is that making sense? Like the 5-year crystal clear plan with a weekly goals sent to you in like a fucking diary, it's not going to happen. It does not work like that. It's this surrender piece. And the way that we learn to surrender, so this is segueing into the next point for navigating BLTs in the career area, is deconditioning. We need to lock the fuck into our social deconditioning, which is something I go deeper into in my Oasis State library, my Find Your Oasis State library. It is a daily practice, guys, because that's how loud the patriarchal society is. It's so subtle and sneaky and intricate. And basically social conditioning. So we have the deconditioning process because we have been conditioned. And it starts the moment that we're born. And it's basically this very intricate reward and punishment system that society impresses on us. So we currently in society are rewarded, quotation marks, rewarded for hustling, getting married, pumping out kids, that white picket fence dream. But the thing is, we're not actually being rewarded because our souls are shriveling up and dying, and we end up with the wrong partner because we just, we thought we needed to achieve that rather than getting to know ourselves and then calling in a partner. And then we just lock into a job because we think we're rewarded for loyalty, but you're not. And all of this social conditioning, actually, I have a podcast episode on social conditioning. So I think it's only a few episodes ago. So scroll up and find it. Or if you can't, message me and I'll link it to you, because I go so much deeper into social deconditioning. But it's reinforced by our parents, by our teachers, educational systems, by political parties, by communities. And it's all based on this. It all capitalizes on this fear of abandonment, because we are pack animals, and if I did something wrong and I was isolated, then that is perceived as danger. But luckily now we live in a world where a saber-toothed tiger is going to come and rip my head off because I got ostracized from a particular community, So we need to be doing our social deconditioning practice every single day, because it's like you've probably been raw dogging social conditioning for however long you've been on this planet for. So it's so intricate. And I'm not saying this in a disempowering way. We always have the tools to go within, find that steadiness, find that wisdom. But in my experience, social deconditioning has probably been one of the strongest and most rewarding experiences, but something I have to fucking have my finger on the pulse of all the time. Because even in my business, sometimes I have to remind myself that it is not irresponsible to work on my business. But because it's so ingrained in us to be in the 9-to-5 and be a sheep and work for someone else and be a cog in someone else's machine, I still have to remind myself that, babe, you're allowed to start this business. And as a woman as well, like, bloody hell, we couldn't even have our own fucking bank or credit cards like 40 years ago, I think it was in the 60s, so longer now, maybe 60 years ago. So yeah, I'm like the first woman in my generation to be able to, 1, live alone, 2, have financial independence without a man, 3, start a business. And there's this unfounded guilt there unfounded, misguided guilt, because all of my ancestors had to hustle so hard. So you know what I mean? It's very, very sneaky, this whole BLT thing, but that's why we need to be socially deconditioning, because I have to even now come back and tell myself it is not irresponsible to work on my business, because I'm creating financial freedom for myself where I'm not sacrificing mental or physical health. Like I said, I had coffee with my friend today and she's just got the sniffles and she can't get rid of it, but she's working full time and blah, blah, blah. And again, not criticizing her, but she said to me, she's like, I just know I'm going in the wrong direction. I need to pivot away from this burnout. And I've experienced burnout multiple times in my life as well. And it is so fucking terrifying. I actually wonder if any woman has never experienced burnout, because we're just in this patriarchal society. So it is of the most vital importance that I keep developing my business, because I'm creating financial freedom for myself. I'm being an example for other women around me that this can happen. We don't need to rely on a man. We don't need to work ourselves into the ground. And I'm also creating that financial freedom so that when the love of my life comes along and we have babies, I've got financial freedom and I don't need to worry about maternity leave and someone else controlling the access that I have to my kids because I'm stressing about putting food on the table for them. And no disrespect to anyone that has to do that. Like, my mum was a single mum, but I don't want to live in that fight or flight mode and raise my kids in that fight or flight mode. And my mum's a fucking superwoman, but she worked as hard as she did to create the options and freedom for me to not fucking do that. And that's what we're here to do. We're breaking these cycles because we have the internet available to us. We have this social deconditioning, not just in the career area, but as women, we're realizing that, like, we don't just have to marry for the sake of financial stability anymore. We can actually marry someone that is equally, adding value to our lives. Because as women, we get very much into relationships where it's give, and the men take, and we just pump out these kids and we give up careers, and it's just, social deconditioning is important in all areas. So it's something I have to be aware of all the time. And as a cyclical woman, the social deconditioning and that head noise comes out so much heavier or louder when you're in your luteal. So that's the phase up to 2 weeks before we get our periods. You've probably noticed we get very overwhelmed and we get a lot of head noise. And that's when I find I have to be most compassionate about, aware and compassionate about the social conditioning, the beliefs that might be floating around in my head. And that's when I have to remind myself, like, Zoz, working on this business is the most responsible thing you can be doing right now, because the quicker you get this to a place of financial freedom, not just stability. I'm at needs met right now, but I'm aiming for desires so that I can create generational wealth as well. So I can create, a better head start for my kids. But I have to remind myself that that's the responsible thing to be doing right now because of social conditioning telling me I should be a cog in someone else's machine. So yeah, what have we done? We've done masculine and feminine energy. We've done, like I said, permission slips, not letting our mind do the black and white. So we're demoting the mind. We're doing a lot of social deconditioning. And I reckon there's a million things I could talk about with this, but I want to finish this podcast on being so aware that when we're making these changes, these BLTs in the area of careers, it is going to challenge your sense of identity, which again is very egoic, and that's fine. We don't need to reject the ego. We need to get a healthy relationship with it. Things that I dive into in my teachings. And just say you were working in the corporate industry and then you go back and study, or you just want to get a random 9 to 5 to regulate again. You have to grieve the identity of being that corporate baddie. And that's okay, because it's okay if you liked that, but you're like burnt out and you don't want to do that anymore, or you want to slow down and have kids, or whatever your reason for change is. Be aware that the career change is going to challenge your sense of identity, which is very, very important because of the social conditioning, because it's this risk or reward, punishment energy. And we, as humans in this society right now, we put a lot of value or sense of worthiness on identities and titles. And we're meant to have identities. Like, when you have a healthy ego, it's when you've got healthy identities. So again, this isn't about rejecting the ego. It's about understanding it and creating a better relationship with it, which is what you do through holistic mastery and what I teach. So just be mindful that if you haven't already, or you're thinking about doing it, or you have and you're reflecting on it, if you're feeling really uncomfortable or like a failure, It's just because you've got to grieve the past identity, and that's okay, that's part of it. But we get to create a whole new identity now, and one that reflects the personal evolution that you're on, because you might have started a degree 3 years ago and now you finished it, but you're a totally different person now. So stop fucking around with that past identity and start creating the new one. What feels authentic for you now? So I could go so deep into all of this identity stuff as well, but just for the length of the episode, I will leave it there. But if you're feeling called to make a change in that area of career, or if you already have and you're feeling a bit icky and overwhelmed by it, you need to listen to that. Because like I said in this episode, when we are on our true authentic path, it doesn't make sense for a lot of the people and there's not a clear path. But if you're feeling that whisper, it's that desire and that whisper for change is coming to you for a reason. And you need to, like I said, the download comes in, and that little desire, that scratch that you want to itch, scratch it. Take the action, and then the next download will come. And it's not you always taking action, by the way. In the masculine and feminine sense, it's attracting. Like, you get the download, but sometimes in the feminine sense, you're magnetizing opportunities and conversations and invitations and collaborations your way as well. So it's not always you like hustling and taking that aligned action. It's putting out there into the universe this new identity of, oh, I'm a uni student now, or I'm a successful entrepreneur, or I'm a keynote speaker, or whatever you want to be. And as soon as you start embodying that new identity and having that masculine and feminine balance, see how it's all like this ecosystem that you're creating, then you not only magnetize the downloads for you to action yourself, but you're magnetizing in conversations, opportunities, invitations, collaborations, like I said, all of those things. So if you're feeling the itch or the nudge to make a change, a BLT area of career, go for it, babe. It's that desire is whispering out to you because it's your future self inviting you to keep going on that personal evolution, because it gets so much better. Don't hold on to something that doesn't serve you anymore, the identities, the job, or whatever. Trust, and you will land. Oh, there's so much more I want to do in this episode. More is coming through, but I think I want to finish it. I want to do an episode on money mindset stuff as well, because that obviously gets affected throughout this whole journey. So I'll do another episode on money mindset, because that's very important in this area of BLTs and careers and all of that. So listen to that little inkling, my loves. Make those changes, and I'll see you on the next episode. Love you so much. Mwah. Hello again, my queen, and thank you so much for tuning into this episode. If you're navigating a big life transition right now and want deeper support, you can explore my resources in the links below. I have my Find Your Oasis library for my self-paced queens, Oasis State Club for my community-loving queens, and lock-in sessions if you want some private one-on-one support. Everything is linked in the show notes. Mwah!